Hello and welcome to Wealth Generation, your wealth information and mindset education channel. We aim to educate you on the subject of money and the many ways you can build wealth for yourself and your family that will last long after you're gone. Today we want to talk to you about why we seem to never get ahead in life financially. Things that keep us living paycheck to paycheck. We're going to share methods that you can use to change your finances and break out of that poverty cycle, so you can finally begin making strides towards the life you truly want. If you're trying to build wealth, more than your parents and grandparents have ever known, whether you grew up poor and in a bad neighborhood, or you were born to a decent family in the upper middle class, these methods are some of the core fundamental principles used by everyone who has ever worked their way out of an average or subpar financial life and into the millionaire and billionaire lifestyle. It doesn't matter who you are, your skin color, your age, gender, or creed. The same way gravity exists for everyone and everything, no matter who you are. Anyone who puts in the work and follows these financial principles will eventually make their way to wealth. These are basic rules of money that anyone can use to their advantage and to reach their desired outcome. But before we get started, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Doing this gives us an idea of how much of our content you find valuable, so we can focus on creating more interesting content in the future. Why can't we ever find enough money at the end of the month? We work our butts off every day to pay the bills, buy groceries, and then what? We realize we've made just enough money to cover our basic necessities, but not much else. We go back to work the next pay period to try and earn more, and the same thing keeps happening. But why? It seems like the money is never enough. So your first solution might be to work overtime and sacrifice other things just to make a few more bucks. Your personal life suffers. Your marriage is strained. Your friends no longer see you. Your hobbies sit at home, collecting dust. And your kids are growing ever so taller and more distant each day you're away. You'd like to take a vacation, but you won't be allowed to until the end of the year, or you don't have enough paid time off yet. But the bills need to be paid, so you wouldn't go anywhere even if you could. So you ask the company for a raise, and you keep going back to work. You end up working, and working some more. One day, you realize that you're near the end of your life. You've got no money, no retirement fund, no family, just a job. So you just keep working. And chances are, you'll probably work until the day you die. And that's the end of the story. The end of your story. It sounds quite dramatic, but believe me, it happens to people every day, and particularly to the last generation, the boomers. So it's a very realistic scenario. Chances are that it will also happen to you if you don't do something about it. But why do things happen this way? The best way to start explaining this phenomenon is by giving you the example of borrowing money. If you owe someone money, then that money shouldn't even be considered yours. Even if that money is sitting in your bank account, technically it's someone else's. Because borrowing means you're using someone else's money with the intention to return it. If you don't, that's technically stealing. Yet people get away with that all the time, and that's because they're not bound by anything to return money borrowed from friends, family, and acquaintances. So we know that returning the money is ethical, but more than that, it will save you and your lender the drama of bad blood and a permanently damaged relationship. But what happens if you don't have the money when it's time to pay up? Or you have an emergency come up that you want to use the money for? Should the person you owe just forgive the loan and let you have the money just because you were in a bad spot? The answer is, of course not. As long as you owe money to someone, he or she will remember you and expect you to pay them back. It's called borrowing money, meaning it's a loan, not a grant. If you want someone to help you out by giving you money you don't intend to give back, or you aren't sure you'll be able to pay it back, then don't say I need to borrow some money from you. And definitely don't say, I'll pay you back when I have the money. Just say I need a grant. Those words alone convey without any confusion that this is money you don't plan on returning. If you're just not sure you'll be able to return the money but you still plan to, it's also good practice to call it a grant. That way if you don't or can't return the money, there's no drama, no dodging phone calls, or hiding from friends and family. But if, and when you do return the money, you will not only impress your lender, but that person is even more likely to give you another grant in the future. In business, money owed is referred to as accounts payable. It's money in your balance sheet that's waiting to be sent off to a person or a company who is now expecting payment for providing a service or selling you goods. They've invoiced you or your company, and now they're waiting to get paid. That's what borrowed money actually is to you. If you borrowed from a friend and forget to pay them, they may ask you for it every chance they get. Or they could just decide to end the relationship due to a lack of trust. That's a bad outcome, particularly if you really valued that relationship. But this can only hurt you to a certain extent. And that's as far as that goes. But if you owe money to an entity, a company, a business, think of your electric bill, your water bill, your rent or your mortgage, your phone bill, car payment, and insurance, etc. The repercussions for not paying what you owe are much more significant if not devastating, if you're living paycheck to paycheck. But what makes the two situations so different? It's because you had a written agreement with those companies, promising to pay up. That agreement gives you the scheduled payment dates, and it also states what could happen if you don't honor that agreement. They have a legally binding contract that is enforceable by law, and they're never shy about reminding you of what's at stake. Whether it's your credit score, or your home and car being repossessed. They send you regular reminders, so that they remain at the forefront of your mind. And in order for you to satisfy your agreement with those companies, you go to work and you earn a paycheck that happens to be just enough to pay them back, which leaves you with barely any money left over. All that said, think about this for a second. You might have dismissed it, because it's a story that's all too common for so many of us. So let me put it in words that will clarify what I'm trying to say. Think of all the bills that you're paying right now. Companies you owe money to each month for their products or services. You owe them money each month and you pay them by going to work. In other words, the money you're killing yourself day in and day out for. That you're making sacrifices for. That you're missing out on family time and events for. That money isn't even really yours. You're just the middleman between your job, where you get the money from, and your bills, the companies you owe. So ultimately, for someone who goes to work 30 to 45 years of their life, unless you put money aside for yourself, you're only working to pay the bills. If only you saved some of the money you had left over. If you had allowed it to grow, that would count for something. Your sacrifices would not have gone to waste. But most people don't save a dime. And those who do save a little, end up using their savings the first chance they get. Either they blow through it while having fun, or they use it on emergencies for which they could have found other ways to get the money. So I'll say it again. In the end, you're really just working to pay people that you owe. Not for yourself. 90% of the money you earn belongs to someone else, it's in your accounts payable. But you spend your entire life doing this, not even realizing it. Meanwhile, you're proud and patting yourself on the back. You're content because you feel that you have a good handle on your finances, since you've always made your payments on time, and that promotes good credit. This is a huge problem. It's particularly dangerous, because it's not an issue that shows itself all at once. It takes decades for this to become obvious. And by that time, it's usually too late. You're now at retirement age without a dime in your pockets. More miserable than ever before. Your friends are gone or can't afford to help you either, since it's likely they're in the same boat. Your defined contribution plans, if you have any, have defaulted. No one is coming to the rescue. You only then realize that you don't have enough money to carry you through retirement. You've got to earn money or starve and die early. So at age 50 or 65, you find yourself flipping burgers or working at Walmart. Just when you thought your working days were behind you. That's a tough situation to be in. What I'm really saying here is that you're in a prison that gives you the illusion of control. We've explained this in our other video called Build Wealth by Creating Value, but if you didn't get a chance to watch it, here's a short clip that should drive my point home. If you truly want to live the life you dream of, there is no other way around it. You have to build your own system. It will take some time and effort, but I can promise you that it'll be well worth it. Many people spend their lives bouncing like a tennis ball between going to work and coming home, and they don't have much of a life outside of the occasional weekend excitements. Ironically, this is also when they end up spending their entire paycheck while they're blowing off steam. They spend their entire lives in a prison, which gives them the illusion of freedom. The fact that you're an adult earning your own money makes you feel in control. But at the same time, you don't realize that you're stuck to your job, as much as a dog on a leash is limited to only a certain area. If you want to go live in a different city for a few months, chances are, you can. If you wanted to leave the country, or take an extended time off for your health, or to care for someone else, for example, chances are, you can. If you want to pursue an enjoyable hobby until you become really good at it, like learning to play a musical instrument, or like getting your private pilot's license, chances are, you can. If you wanted to take your kids on a trip around the country, and visit landmarks in each state, chances are, you can. Those are things that require a lot of time. Time you do not have to spare. These limitations also apply to even the simplest things. Like the clothes you wear on a daily basis, and dyeing your hair a certain color. Nowadays, a strictly professional appearance is often required to be employed with most companies. I'm not advocating that you look like a slob or go all out with crazy fashion, but my point is that the thing you call freedom is merely an illusion. Even if you could make arrangements to get some time off from work, go out of town and enjoy life. The problem is that unless you have some money coming in without you having to work for it, you'd be digging into the savings you worked so hard for. You'd need to return home and get back to work soon, then work twice as hard to earn that money back. Because the bills don't take vacations, and they don't pay themselves. If you're interested in watching the full version of that video, we will make sure to add the link in the video description. Keep an eye out for part 2. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, and let us know your thoughts in the comments section. We have a lot more to share, so your feedback is appreciated. Thanks for watching Wealth Generation.